Dun, 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 dun.
I'm Brad Jewett.
I'm Tim, the Trail Man.
Keeping it real.
And now, Brad and Tim.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome to another edition of the Keeping It Real show, episode number 12.
1, 2, 12.
Hey, Tim, how are you today? How are you today, man?
Good. I'm excited.
Awesome. Me
Had
too.
a great
Me too.
What a week.
Yeah, a great week. We're going to wrap this week up with an incredible icon in our industry, Mr. Gil Galyean. What can I say? I'm sure there's nothing I can say that you guys already don't know. So, Tim, if there's nothing else to say other than we hope everybody is home and healthy. And again, everybody's piling in right now, so we're excited about that. Here we go. We're going to bring in Mr. Gil Galyean.
You know what, Brad?
Hopefully his speakers and everything are rolling.
Yeah,
Hi, Mr. Galyean.
Hi,
Can
Gil.
you hear us?
How we doing? It's all right. Let's get your audio
Can you
in.
hear us?
One more thing.
We just got to get his
Audio.
up.
I bet.
It comes and goes, but it's not his fault. We can welcome some people coming in here. We got Michael Hunsinger. Hey, there's Tina Vollmer. How about that?
Hey, if you guys,
Galleon Employees Act favorites in. Adam Mathis.
if you're new to the show, Bradford, if you're new to the show, type in where you're from.
Oh, yeah. Type in where you're from, please.
If you haven't seen our show yet.
Aaron Moses is in tonight.
Aaron Moses.
Tanya Brown.
Yep.
We got West Coast in the house.
Oh, good. How's he doing? What do you think? It's all right.
Yeah. We're just going to let him take the time here. Hey,
You're not
Kona.
Yep.
Let me get our Tim, keep him entertained real quick. I'm going to mute myself.
Yes, all good.
Everybody hang tight.
So I'll just talk to well, let's see who's here. Jeff's back, Kim's here, Sherry's here, Maya's here, Linda's here, Bridget's here, John's here. If you're new to the show, make sure you write where you're from. We love that. Kelly McDowell, welcome back. 2, make sure you like our program, okay? So when you're done, if you like the videos that we're sending, if you like the show, make sure you like it for us. What else can I tell you? I had a tip of the day, but I didn't think I had to use it tonight. I was going to tell you about tonic water. I thought tonic water is really important to drink. That's why you drink.
Especially in this day and age. You told me why it's important to drink.
Right. It has that stuff in it. How would you, quinoline?
So for those of you just coming in, we're just waiting for Gil to be able to get his audio up.
Mr. Mueller's in the house. Happy evening. Colorado's in the house.
Do we have any, if you have any questions, except for Jonathan Mueller,
except
that anybody would like to ask,
yeah.
We'd love to have some questions maybe later on.
We let Jonathan listen. We just don't let him ask questions. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Great crowd tonight. We got a lot of Oklahomans. We got a Tennesseer. There's Mr. Galyean.
Hi, yeah. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Wow.
Hey.
We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes.
Thank you, Becky. Thanks, Becky.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a lot of people to throw you under the bus tonight, or that you can throw under the bus that are on.
Exactly.
Take it easy.
So I have a question from an anonymous customer of yours, and it's going to be kind of a giveaway, I think. But they're wondering if Made by Jay has been getting her treats regularly.
No treats.
Oh man, look at that.
Man.
That's keeping it real right there. I love it.
She's in good shape, but no treats. That's the only question I'll accept from Candace tonight. Let's get that started off right now.
Okay, excellent. Well, She wasn't anonymous for very long.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
right.
Okay, can I dive in?
Let's go,
You bet.
baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take us back to your roots, how you grew up with your dad, your brother, your family, and how'd you enter the horse business?
Well, my dad was a horse trainer, Kenneth Galyean, and it was just sort of our way of life growing up. And Jody's a little older than me, and horses were there, and they were showing a lot. Back then, of course, Dad, they'd do the halter and the pleasure and the cutting, and at one day show, and obviously that's changed a lot. But I went away to college for a year and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was riding quite a bit there, my junior and senior year of high school on, horses that Dad would let me ride. And I think obviously I was seeing Jody have success and was starting to be able to make a living. He'd taken a job in Chicago for the Bingham family, I guess. And I just thought, you know what, I like it. And, I've always liked the competition. I think that's one thing that's great about the horses. It allows us to spend our entire careers, competing. And I think that's a very valuable asset to this industry.
So can you I'm going to skip and tell us about the Cowboys and Horsemen in that generation that you got to see when you're young?
Yeah, that's pretty, and that has great memories. I can, Dad and Buster Welch were good friends, and, was
That's
with him a lot.
crazy.
I can remember Dad taking me to Matlock Roses and, seeing, Matlock, Stanley Bush, and just lots of Don Dodge,
Wow.
famous guys there. And,
I
and then,
love it.
then even like when I started, there's other guys that came, when I was showing a lot of cutting with Jody and stuff. I mean, being around Bill Freeman always was an impressive man to me, his ability. Paul and Winston Hansma. I mean, so I was really lucky, and I'm forever grateful for those opportunities just to see those people. I can remember, Dad, we were at Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, I might have been 13 or 14, and of course you'd read the Quarter Horse Journal and, you'd see the pictures of these guys, and I remember Dad standing there talking to Jerry Wells, and I was like this, wow, so I mean, those are memories I'm very happy and feel very lucky to have.
That's just amazing to me. I mean, and there's no way I could write them down fast enough, but all the amazing, incredible, they're horsemen, of course, but that paved the future for everybody. I'm sure that's on here. We're over 200 people that are on here right now watching this. So, I mean, that just is a testament to why you are the horseman that you are, that we're going to dive into more tonight, and just about how you were created. So Tim, are you going to stay in this area?
Yeah, I'm still going to go.
Because I have some more things I want to hear about this area.
It feels like we ask the questions. We're like these dogs that we have our ears up like this. Okay, tell us what are you going to tell us? We want to hear it. Like, it's so exciting. How about I had this question for me: is what stood out that your dad might have taught you back then that you use today, maybe, or something like that?
Yeah, I think obviously, I could see it with Dad and Jody too. I mean, the consistency that you've got to go at it every day, and you've got, you can't ignore your work. I think Dad's biggest deal, is you treat everybody the same, no matter their status in life or their career or their wealth. You treat everybody equal, and gosh, we sure try to do that.
Bradford?
Well, that's just a whole kind of program in its own. I'm not going to dive into that too much, but again, it's just if we call it ethics or the cowboy way or whatever you want to call it. But I want to you kind of breezed over it a little bit, but kind of tell us a little bit about you and Jody's relationship growing up. You had mentioned that Jody went to Chicago to work for somebody at some point. Was that Jody or your dad?
Yeah, that was Jody. Yeah, and I think I was maybe a senior in high school. Jody's 6.5 years older than I am. So he'd kind of, he'd gone out and, he was up there in Chicago. But, I mean, I can remember flying up there a summer and spending the summer with him while he was there. But Jody,
he was training pleasure horses, halter horses.
Yes,
What was he doing then?
That's right. You bet. Yeah, they had, had a lot of pleasure horses, a few halter horses. I mean, that was the Bingham family. I remember had those, and Jody had some customer horses as well. So he and Debbie then, the the mother of his children and stuff. I mean, they had a big training operation and were doing very well. Debbie showed a lot of English horses. And so, you know, I would watch him. Jody's been great to me, you know, and then he ultimately moved back to Missouri. And I moved to Missouri. You know, just so I was around him a lot, and you know, he was really on top of the pleasure horse industry at that time. You know,
So at that time, were you already feeling like this is something that I really kind of want to do, or are you still not sure what you wanted to do?
I was, you know, having to make a living, and that was my chosen profession. So yeah, I was all in at that time. I sure was. So
and in the pleasure, of the cutting, or you didn't know which?
Well, it was mostly pleasure at that point. You know, now, I'd showed obviously when I was home, a little kid with Dad. You know, show a few times in the cutting and stuff. But during that period of time, you know, it was mostly just the show horse industry that
Awesome.
I was doing, and Jody as well.
So.
Awesome.
How about the cutting? Like where does the cutting come in here? Like how do you both you guys do the cutting?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know near anymore like I used to. You know, there was a period there in the late 80s and early 90s, did a lot of it. You know, it just kind of come to sort of the fork in the road, you know, what are you going to make your living at? And obviously I enjoy it, and we still keep some, and you know, Becky shows in the non-pro, and so we're still, you know, are in touch with that a little bit, but it just came to a deal where, you know, and I've always, you know, the movement of a horse has really always drawn me to it, you know, and that's something that I find so appealing about the Western pleasure class, and the Western riding too, you know, but I mean, that's so when it kind of come to look, you know, my client base and my ability to make a living is probably going to be a little better going down this path. And so
Gotcha.
That became our primary focus.
Awesome.
Sure did.
So I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I had Bobby Ingersoll, I had Bangatrone, Ronnie Richards. I had some great horsemen in my view, right? When I was a youngster.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, those are famous names.
And I told you the other night that you remind me a lot of Bobby, how many people you've helped, and just your demeanor and the way you treat business. And I appreciate that so much.
That's a tremendous compliment. I thank you. I don't know that I'm worthy of that, but thank you.
Tell me, you know, you see many riders that come and go through your business. Like, what's it take to be a good horseman?
You know, I think, you know, and I touched on it, you've got to have the work ethic, you know, and you really got to care about the horse. You know, I think the care the horse gets, you know, helping a horse, you know, achieve its highest level of ability. But I think, you know, you just got to be consistent. You know, you can't work hard for 2 days and then be off for 3 days. You know, I mean, I think consistency has a lot to do with being a great horseman, and you know, just the steadiness. You just got to go at it, you know, and how you treat people, how you conduct yourselves, you know, within the public. I mean, I think that's something that is very, very important too. So, I mean, those are just a couple of things that come to mind real quick, Tim, but sure very important in my opinion.
So as we're not, because I know there's a lot of people, because you've come up in some of our previous programs about being able to mentor, hire quality people, and the people that you put out. That's going to come later on in our show, and that's not where we're going quite yet. But before we move on any further, is there any one person, or would you say it's your dad and your brother, and then just a handful of people? Because I believe in my life, it's not just one person, but is there a person that sticks out in your mind that you go back to a lot? Maybe if you've hit a wall when you were younger or something like that, that really helped put you back in the same direction over and over again, or was it always somebody kind of new?
No, I mean, obviously, you know, Jody and Dad had big influences. I mean, there were other, you know, I remember watching Tommy Mannion show a lot, you know, and then as we kind of got more along to it, you know, I think, you know, you're always looking at other trainers and the ones that are real successful. Yeah. I mean, you're trying to mimic, you know, like Cleve Wells made a big influence on me, you know, I mean, I mean, there was a period of time there where Cleve was 4 or 5 years ahead of all of us, you know, and you're trying to figure out, you know, man, how is he making those horses lope that good, you know? And so that, I mean, and, you know, gosh, I mean, today there's a lot of guys doing the super job on pleasure horses, and obviously the Western riding and the trail. But I mean, those back then, I mean, coming through that time, I mean, I think those are certainly some, you know, people that stood out to me, you know. And I got a good friend, John Berry. I mean, I'd watch him a lot, you know, and you know, how John would conduct his business, treat customers. I mean, those are things that they form you, you know. I mean, they help develop who you are. And that's, those are some people that have sure influenced me, Brad.
Awesome. Awesome.
Can you help me and tell me a little bit from Missouri to moving to Oklahoma and how that worked and how it got started here in Oklahoma?
You bet.
Give us a timeline as you go, like year-wise, if you could too.
Yeah, I think it was maybe in like maybe 95 or 96. You know, I got a couple horses in for Dave and Nadine Lipson of Paws Up Ranch, which at that time was in Colorado. Now, you know, probably more well known for their resort in Montana. But you know, they sent a couple of horses, and we started showing those, and you know, we're doing okay. But you know, they were intrigued by the industry and the business, and Nadine liked riding and showing, and so it sort of led to them purchasing a farm somewhere, you know, in Oklahoma or North Texas. And you know, we looked around some, and they ended up purchasing the ranch that was originally built as Oklahoma Stud here in Purcell. And so they allowed, you know, Nadine and Dave allowed me to move here and bring my training business with them. I was riding their horses, but was allowed to come here and bring that. And that was in 98. And you know, Becky and I, we were married in 98. So I think I maybe moved here in January, and in August of 98, you know, we were married, and then, you know, we've been here in Purcell ever since, you know. So it was really, you know, I've always felt a great deal of gratitude to Nadine, because it allowed me the opportunity to move here where, you know, we love it here. I mean, it's our home. So that kind of came, and, you know, and then we just, you know, continued to show horses and train horses for the public. And so that's kind of how that evolved.
So can I ask a quick question here? How do pleasure horses and cunning horses get along?
Well, pretty good. You know, it's different, obviously, but yet, you know, good horses are good horses. And so, you know, it's a lot about, you know, you got to communicate with your horse in both events. Like, do some of the pleasure horses have to go pick up the cows? Oh, sure. Yeah, we do that some. And yeah, absolutely. We'll take them out. I mean, we keep a small number of mother cows here, you know, and so we'll go for rides, you know, pushing them around, moving them around, stuff with the pleasure horses. So yeah, it's just, you know, it's kind of a good experience for them. For sure. But they're two different. I mean, they're way two different athletes. You know, they're two different kind of deals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I like your next question, Tim. I think this is a really good one for him.
Okay.
About our breeding industry.
Right. So, as our breeding industry has changed, and we talked about, you told that to me, okay, and evolved through the years, what do people, or what do you look for people, like when you're purchasing a yearling from out in the field or wherever, and you're not breeding it?
You know, and we try to look at a lot of yearlings, because that's, you know, obviously there's gotten to be some really big, you know, sales between the NSBA sale, and Tom Parris has a yearling sale, but then the Congress sale, the NSBA yearling sales really gotten to be a big event. And so I think I really consider pedigree a lot. I think that's very important, and I really like to see a strong maternal side. And then, you know, when you're looking at the individual itself, I really like a horse that's attractive to look at. You know, because that first impression the judge is he's just going to see your horse first, you know, and that's, I want to ride something that's real appealing to the eye. When it's a yearling, I like to see some self-carriage, you know, look like it has a sweepy lope. You know, it can jog up under itself good, and, you know, like I see a big kind eye. I really don't like to get horses or follow pedigrees that the horse doesn't have a big soft eye on. So those, I mean, I think those, you know, you want to see some balance to it conformationally, but, you know, you just get it. Sometimes when you just watch horses move, you just get a feel, you know, even as yearlings. So, yeah. But the pedigree means a lot, and those other things too. So is it possible to see a horse that moves well in a sale, and then later on when you ride it, not so good, and then a horse that doesn't look so good in a sale become a great loper when you ride it? Yeah, it does. And that happens a lot. You know, I mean, Tim, like like take for instance, the invitation onlys, they have never been great, what we call lunge line horses, because they just, when you get on them, they just go to riding so much better. Now there's some pedigrees that, well, they'll wow you loping around, they look like show horses loping around the round pen as a yearling. But then when you go to ride, it doesn't work together, and that's, talking about those pedigrees too, like invitation only. I mean, that horse, the first time I won the Congress Pleasure Fraternity was in '96 on a son of invitation only, a horse called The Invitation. Well, then, 20 years later, I think when Aaron was here, he won on a son invitation called for one night only. And then Andy Cochran won last year on another son of invitation. So, you're talking 24, 25 years later.
Wow.
That pedigree is still, can still go win our major events. So, but I got a little off track there, but you see that a lot, but, the pedigree comes into play there, but you'll see a lot of times something maybe doesn't just blow you. It doesn't look like a show horse as a yearling, but when you go to riding it, it's accepting of the training and its feel, and how it takes everything. It develops into, the conformation allows it to become a higher level horse.
So when they become,
well, is there anything you do when you go to somebody's ranch to try, other than just watching it around? Do you push it around? Do you do anything special, pulling it here, pushing it there, whatever, that you can that is really a go-to thing that you do when you go to try out yearlings?
No, when I do look, if I'm at a farm or something, I really like to see them just out in their natural habitat. I don't like for, someone to get them up in the round pen. Let's watch them in the round pen. I'd rather just see them in in their natural habitat. And, you just kind of, try and chase them off and see if they'll just, trot a couple steps and then kick up into that lope. I think that you've got to see it, something pretty quick. So, and again, you'll kind of, maybe if I'm looking, I'll watch its demeanor, but again, I'll look at it, what its eye looks like, how its conformation looks. But, really and truly, you got to ride them to ever really figure out what you got. You just got to go to riding them.
So with that said, it kind of transitions into our next question here. Is you guys get a lot of yearlings, probably in the early fall, late fall, something like that, right? To where you guys can start kind of looking at them, start riding them, all that. What is there a timeline? You have all your big fraternities, your 2-year-old fraternities in your head of, who's going to do this. Is there a timeline that you look for, your Congress 2-year-old, your Masters, your GMC horse, your early summer horse, or is that happen by early spring, mid spring, late spring, early summer? What does that timeline look like when you're trying to evaluate these yearlings at a young age to see who you want to push or who can't take the pushing or whatever?
Yeah, probably, we'll start working a lot with them in late December or, early December, I should say. After the World Show, we kind of get going. And by like this time right now, here we are in the mid-April. You're kind of feeling which horses are kind of showing some self-carriage now and has some rhythm they're comfortable to set on. Again, I'm probably not the fastest trainer. I don't want to put one together in 90 days. I just don't think that makes for the longevity of a horse. But, so, we're not on a 2-year-old down there right now loping around like a show horse. But, well, we're starting to thin them, weed them out a little bit right now and see which ones look like, have the look, have the carriage, have the cadence, the trainability. Right now is kind of getting into that. And then, probably another 60, 90 days, you really start to see that finished horse and what the top line's finishing like. And so that's probably kind of how that plays out.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm curious, I'm gonna add something to our list here. So let's say you have your 2-year-old from last year, okay? And then all my little trail friends are looking for some prospects for the 3-year-old year. Which ones do you keep? Which ones do you sell? How do you know if you want to go another year with them, or how do you know it's okay to sell them to one of my trail trainers?
Yeah, well, I I mean, just being honest, I mean, what the owner needs to do sometimes, you know, I mean, you know, if they think, hey, you know, we've got others coming up here and, you know, this one, we've had interest in that horse. I mean, I don't know that I get the, you know, I don't influence an owner to let me make the call on whether or not we keep it or not. You know, if some of the trainers of the other disciplines ask about a horse, I always go and talk to the owner and let them kind of, you know, tell me what they want to do. So, you know, obviously something I think's really got a chance of doing well at the Congress and the World Show and the NSBA World. I mean, you know, I hope that they let us keep it and go show it and see as best we can do. But I mean, that is ultimately that owner's decision as to whether or not that horse sells or stays with us for the pleasure.
How about all your staff? How do you shuffle the cards? I know you guys ride each other's horses a little bit. How do you kind of mid-season here decide who might go on with this horse, or when you're going to change partners, or how's that kind of work in your business?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go. I mean, we all, you know, I'll try and get on every horse throughout, you know, the course of a couple of weeks, you know, and make sure. But we all mix up, ride each other's horses. Then as we move forward here, you know, another 45 days or so, and we go to kind of thinking, well, this looks like it's going to show. Well, you know, which assistant gets along with it best, you know. Obviously, if one of them's did a lot of the work on it, you know, we try to reward them then with them getting to show that horse. But it's just sort of a team meeting thing, Tim. Really, you know, just to kind of everybody put their heads together and what's going to give that horse the best chance to achieve its potential.
So there, with the number of assistants that you keep and the number of horses that you keep, I highly respect you for the horseman that you are, not just as a pleasure horse trainer, but to see you out there working for the Western riding. I've seen you play with the trail poles a little bit as well. Like, I admire the fact that you don't give up. Oh, nope, it's not going to win at this futurity or whatever. And so it's not going to have a career, because I would say you're one of the leading trainers in producing horses for another trainer. So I know you're probably on the top of many all-around trainers list to come look at horses, which Tim already alluded to. Is there a certain number that you look for? Is that something you have in mind, or you're strictly in pleasure and then, okay, you know what, this one's just not going to make it as a 2-year-old, but I feel like it's going to be a good 3-year-old Western rider, 4-year-old, or how do you talk to your client about that? How do you make the decision of when to kind of move that horse?
I mean, I appreciate you saying that, Brad. I really do. I mean, you know, probably I've always just wanted to try and train a horse that other people feel like they can get along good with, you know, and I mean, we take a lot of pride in seeing horses that you know, maybe we had as a 2 and a 3 and become famous in other events, you know, and luckily there's been some of those that, you know, probably people don't have any affiliation with the horse with us, you know.
Is there any that come to your mind saying that? If not, it's okay. But is there any that come to your mind?
I mean, Eliza Sleeping was one, you know. I don't think too many people know we had him all during his 2-year-old.
I did.
Cruising Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cool Cruising Lady. You know, I showed her in the Masters at the Congress, but then obviously she's going on. I mean, there's other horses probably that.
Awesome.
Not just off the top of my head here, but you know, I just I kind of like especially when the horses go to getting a little older. I mean, I like to do the Western riding on them because I really think it keeps them fresh and keeps them good, happy in the pleasure, and you know, I really enjoy the Western riding. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm anywhere close to being as good as you and some of the others are, but
that's
you know,
nice.
I think it's good. I think it's really good for the horses. I mean, I really do, you know, and so I enjoy that side of it. But again, if it's an owner that's wanting to maybe market a horse and that helps get someone's interest in it, you know, then I think that's you know, that's a benefit for me, and that helps that helps keep our farm here in business too. So that's how we approach that.
I love it.
Sure is.
I love it. How about some rapid fire questions, Tim? And then we'll take a little commercial break and thank our sponsors. Are you ready for this, Gil? So for all of you, if you've never been on here, we do a rapid fire question with our guests, and they have no idea. Obviously, we've kind of talked with Gil about some of the questions so that he can kind of be prepared, but these questions, Gil has no idea that's coming. So this is kind of a fun part that we get to do with them. So Timmy, are you ready?
Yes.
And then as
Okay.
soon as we get done here, we'll head to a little break.
Okay. What type of meat do you like to grill on your barbecue?
Oh, beef tenderloin.
Okay.
Nice.
Pellet grill. We're a pellet grill family.
Okay.
Nice.
What restaurant do you and Becky enjoy dining alone at?
Oh gosh. You know, the ranch, you know, Oklahoma City, it's been a long
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And Red Rock Canyon Grill. That's gotten to be a
Okay.
favorite too.
There you go.
That's
There you
nice.
go. Okay. Name something besides horses you and your brother have in common.
Well, that's a good one.
Gosh, stubbornness, I guess. Would be,
So I had my
That's
second
probably
question to
our
that.
biggest common trait.
My second question was, do you guys disagree on anything when cutting?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But evidently I'm wrong because he's achieved a lot higher than I have.
Have you,
I hope
have
he's
you
not
ever-
watching.
have you ever been bucked off or had a horse fall on you at a horse show?
Yes, absolutely. And it happened last year at the World Show, actually. And we're over there in the big outdoor covered arena. And it was a horse I was showing in the versatility there at the World Show.
Gotcha.
And I don't know, it trips and it body slams me. And I mean, I'm rolling out through there about 5 feet. Well, Jeff Malott, he's about 20 yards from me. And I mean, I finally, you know, kind of start getting up and he's just sitting there on his horse laughing. I mean, he doesn't even, he doesn't even cross his mind to come see if I'm all right. So
I'm surprised he didn't pull his phone out.
Yeah, right.
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. What a friend Jeff is.
Name a TV cowboy character, good or bad, that you like.
Oh, I like Clint Eastwood a lot.
Okay. there you
Yeah, good
Pale
choice. Mine
Rider.
too.
Everybody needs
Yeah.
to watch Pale Rider.
go.
Yeah.
What NFL quarterback do you admire and respect?
Well, that's easy. That's Pat Mahomes.
Ah,
You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were
Real
going to say
quick,
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Baker had a little rough year with the ego for me, you know. Hey, look here. I got to tell you real quick. We got some good friends, Jerry and Robin Smith. They're now down at A&M, but he was a strength coach here at OU. So we were at Waco, Brad, and when the draft was, and that morning, the Kansas City had taken him, I think 10 or 11, you know. And I was, man, I don't know. And so I remember texting Jerry. I said, "What do you think of this guy?" He said, "Gil, he's easily the best quarterback you'll ever watch." So it's proved.
No
it's
kidding.
proved
That's a
correct.
cool
Yeah.
story. Cool story.
Sure has. Yeah.
Okay. Name the craziest and or zaniest assistant that has ever worked for you.
Jay Barnett. He would swerve down the highway a little bit, but a good guy, and did a good job for us. Yeah.
Tell me the color, year, and style of your first truck you owned or drove when you were in high school.
Okay, look, and if Charlie Dobbs is watching, he makes fun of me about this all the time. But I had a single cab Ford 150 with a camper shell on it, and in the back of it,
Okay.
I had a mural of Waylon Jennings, you know, everybody didn't know. And I would pull my dad's bumper pull inline with it. So
Oh,
it was gray and white, two-tone gray and white, had a 460 gas engine, got about 3 miles a gallon, and away we went.
okay. Which event do you like to show the most? Western pleasure, cutting, or trail?
You ever heard the song 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad, Tim? Yeah. Tim doesn't like me coming around the trail pin because he has to set the poles back up so much. So I try to stay out of his way.
Do you have a favorite set of spurs that you ride in every day? And how long have you owned them?
You know what? I have got a set of Baldings that are probably 25 years old. I remember I bought 3 pair
Wow.
at the Congress one year. Gave one to Dad for Christmas and one to Jody for Christmas. And I still have those, and those are good. And then last year, Becky let me get a pair of Faulkner spurs that I'm really proud of, but I just got them, you know, last year, and they're more of they're a really nice spur. But those Baldings have been through a lot.
That Becky's so generous.
Right.
Yeah, 25 years. She said I could finally get another pair of spurs.
Name one of your friends, your age or older, that you walk around on top of a horse with, whom you like to talk to at the horse shows.
Oh gosh, there's several, and I really value the friendship among my peers, and I think that's something I just wanted a lot of. You want respect of your peers, but I mean, John Berry and I have had a good long relationship, and so yeah, I mean, he'd be on the short list for sure.
Last one. What sport do you enjoy the most watching your sons play live?
Football.
There you go. All day long.
Yeah, that's easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I could have answered that one, Tim.
Okay.
All right, everybody, hold tight. We're going to take a little commercial break, and we will be right back.
Keeping It Real is brought to you by
Kimes Ranch Jeans, Blue Ribbon Custom Tack, Letchworth Bits and Spurs, JewettEquine.tv, Chauffeur Dough, Silver Dollar Circuit, Horseman's Future, Unishippers.
And now, back to Brad and Tim.
All right, we are back. Did our live feed pause for a second? I don't know if it paused or not. All right, so yeah, we're here. Good. There it goes. It's back in. It's back in. It didn't look like, I don't know if our commercial played or not, but all right, we're gonna move on anyway. All right, Timmy, you ready? Timmy, you're muted. You're muted. I was like, where's Tim? Where's Tim?
Here.
There he is.
I'm
There
here.
you
Sorry. Can you name a few horses or people or events in your life that stands out most and that were game changers in your career?
Oh yeah, and horses. I could probably give a pretty good list. Like I mentioned, the Invitation earlier. That horse was neat to win the Congress Play of Futurity. It's the first time I'd won it. Cool Crimson Lady is probably one of the. Her and Made by Jay. Both of them are mares. But boy,
we got a good picture of that one. That one should be popping up here pretty quick.
Woo. Yeah.
I remember that night. I was telling Gil when I saw that picture, I had to look to see if I was up there in the stands because I remember that night very well. That was great mare.
We all look back and think, oh, what could we did? That mare won the twos at the World Show and the Junior Pleasure at the World Show. And then Mrs. Knapp, who owned her, then come back and let me shore in the senior and it ended up reserved. But she'd have been the only mare to ever win the twos, junior, and senior. And that's one regret. I wish we could have won it. But she's been she's made a great producer and special mare, but she's that.
Well, you had another one, assistant of yours, and I'm going to give him props because he's my best friend that won the twos, the junior and the senior
he did
underneath of you, Mr. Dave Dillon and One Hot Crimson.
That's right.
But that would have been the first mare, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but yeah, that's the step. Dave did it on One Hot Crimson, and that's a tremendous feat. I mean, there's no question about that. Sure is. Yeah.
So.
Other horses. I guess I was trying to think.
Yeah.
Like Mac Dudley, you guys. I mean, this was '86 probably. I mean,
wow.
He was a buckskin gelding that I was reserved in the Congress Pleasure Futurity. Back then you had 2 go-rounds and a short go. And so there were 6 judges. You had 2 judges per go. And you figured all 6 scores to accumulate your winner, and I had 5 first and a gate. I'd had 2 first go, 2 first, second go, and then a first and a gate in the finals. And that let me ended up reserved. And guess who won? My brother Jody. He averaged. He did.
You're kidding
but Mac
me.
Dudley was a great horse. He sure was. And that probably, he kind of helped get me, okay, we're going to be able to get business here, so that horse will always mean a lot.
Hey, so I want to pop this one up. Where is it? Did I lose it? Well, tell me about this horse. That was a pretty good horse, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's one of my favorites. That's 2. These on the short list. That's Rewind and Repeat, and that horse. I mean, I don't know that any horse, when he was on at the lope, I don't know that I ever rode a horse I probably didn't, that could lope any better than him. You know, beautiful horse, you know, and look at that eye on that horse, you know, I mean, it's just, that was a special horse, sure was.
Yeah.
You know, the Dempsey family was very fortunate for them to buy him for us. And Brian Cox had him as a 2-year-old, and we got to show him as a 3 and junior and senior horse summit. Neat horse.
So that kind of it's leading me to a question right now, Tim, because you said you bought that horse from Brian Cox as a 2-year-old. So you've done that very successfully on a few horses. Do you typically, in other words, buying a 2-year-old and you've seen that horse? I appreciate that, because some people are like, no, I want to make them. And then some people wait till they're already 3 or 4 and then like, okay, I know they're going to be a good horse and now I'll buy it. Is there something that, like, do the clients come to you and say, hey, I'm looking for this horse? Or do you say, I don't want to, you know, certain riders won't be able to ride a 2-year-old, so I'm going to wait, see what 2-year-olds are out there and then buy one. What different scenarios, and then what is your prerequisite in purchasing a 2-year-old? And
You know,
is there a certain type of trainer maybe that you like to buy? We're not wanting any names. We're not bad mouthing anybody, but I mean, is there a certain type of program that you like to buy them out of?
Yeah, you know, I think honestly, Brad, I think you've got to stay successful in the show horse industry. To me, you've got to be able to do both. You have to be talented enough trainer to develop a colt that's never been rode, or develop it into a show horse. But you also, as a service to your clients, if they're wanting a horse and they want to go show, and, you know, people love showing, and owners love riding. So you can't, you know, if the opportunity presents itself where you can acquire a talented horse that will give that owner a lot of enjoyment and will get him in our world, and you've got to go both ways, you know. And I tell people with some of these great show mares, you know, you've got to be successful, to be competing at the highest level of this industry. You've got to be able to do both. Yes, you got to try and raise them, but you've got to be on the lookout when one comes along, be ready to buy it. So, you know, as far as, you know, kind of the upper end trainers, I mean, you know, you can sort of see who, you know, the good trainers are going to train good horses. So, I mean, obviously that's the ones that catch your eye, and then you go inquire about. But, I've never been, well, I'm only going to show what I train. I mean, you've got to be able to do both.
Awesome.
Okay. Can I ask about the $1 Million Man thing? So when you become this man who wins $1 million, what's that make you feel? Like, how do you like when they call you out and they tell you that? I mean, do you look back, or do you like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's very humbling. I mean, it shows I've been doing it a long time too, you know. I mean, but it was a great moment. You know, I know Rusty Green's attained that same level, and so it's yeah, it was humbling. You know, I'm very appreciative. I think hopefully it gives our, you know, Becky and I's boys, Brody and Garrett, you know, it gives them something that they can be proud of. But I mean, horses, guys, have, you know, and I said this for the Horseman of the Year presentation, you know, horses have given my family a way to make a living and meet people that without horses we would never had the opportunity or the doors open. So I mean, we're all very, very lucky, especially when what's going on in the world right now. I mean, we need to truly be thankful for that horses are involved in our lives.
Well, and so Tim, did you know, and I believe this is correct, Sam Walton was a client of yours, is that correct?
Well, he was a client of my dad's.
Of your dad's?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
How about that, Tim?
His daughter, Alice, Dad got out, you know, would help Alice show a lot, and Dad would, I mean, I can vaguely remember. I can remember this madman, you know, sliding in a truck, you know, in the barn, you know, and it was Sam, I guess. But, you know, Dad said that, like, you know, he'd haul Alice and Sam to a show up in Missouri somewhere. Well, Sam would get in the truck and drive off and look for sites to build Walmarts at, you know, while Dad and Alice would stay there in the show. So, yeah, the Walton family. And then like Mac Dudley that I referred to, you know, Nancy Laurie, who had been Sam's niece. Her dad was Bud Walton. You know, she's who owned Mac Dudley, and she owned Hot and Spicy Me, that was a famous mare. And so the Walton family, yeah, there's a connection there with us. But Yeah, pretty
I
neat
thought
stories
that's
to hear,
cool.
Dad.
I was wondering if Tim had known that piece of
Well, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't
trivia
know
or
you knew
not.
it, Brad. I didn't know you
did.
knew it. That's surprising. Yeah,
I
it
did.
is.
Okay, so now I kind of want you to describe Team Galyean for me, and maybe you could mention some of your past or present staff. Tell me if they're special in a certain way. We need to get to this point of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and guys, honestly, I mean, you're probably only as good as your staff, and Becky and I've been lucky. I mean, maybe, you know, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but you know, I mean, obviously you mentioned Dave Dillon, who worked, Mike Tivley up in Missouri. I mean, you know, we didn't have 3 or 4 horses, and I mean, he's still to this day a hard working, you know, good guy. Then we got down here to Oklahoma, and Matt Klingsporn came. Brian Baker, who's, you know, my gosh, tremendously successful. Then Shannon Curl was there, did a super job. And then along came, you know, I think Denton and Aaron, and you know, I think year before last, in the 2-year-olds at the World Show, Aaron, Denton, and Brian were first, second, and third in the 2-year-old pleasure fraternity. So that was sort of, you know, and I don't think I did very good that year, but I mean, you know, that's something that was gratifying, you know, I mean, just to see, because I think, you know, kind of have a strong belief in how pleasure horses ought to move, and you know, it's kind of good to see judges reward people that have, you know, tried to develop those type of horses. So that was a good memory. You know, currently Denny Jones is here. He's been here. He's going on his 3rd year. Dylan Hatton started this past January, came down from Iowa, doing a good job, and then Zach Favorite's here now. So, you know, it's just, you had to have employees that you don't dread going down and being around, you know. And you know what? And I don't want to overlook too, Adam Mathis and Paisley Putoff were here. Adam was here 5 years, I think, and did a great job. Did real well at the Congress. Paisley as well. So I don't want to hurt feelings by skipping somebody, because everybody, you know, I mean, you got to have help and support, but you got to have people that you don't mind going down there and seeing every day, and you know, they got to have some hustle to them. I mean, you can't mope around and wait for the world to come to you. I mean, you gotta go get them.
It's good. I apologize as well in that same vein. I didn't have pictures of all of your past employees either, because Facebook and all that wasn't around back with some of the people he was talking about. So
Yeah,
I apologize
true.
that I didn't get everybody's picture on there, but
True.
nonetheless, it's a long list, and so this is a subject that we want to kind of roam on a little bit, because it's a long list of very good horsemen, as far as outside the show arena and inside the show arena. And so we want to kind of dig in a little bit if we can, and if there's a story or something that comes to your mind about how you've decided to hire these people, we'd love to hear it. But what is it? Do you watch them for a while, or do they all just call you and then you go through a process? Do you watch them ride your horses? Do they come and try something out, or is it just like, okay, you're going to be hired, and if it doesn't work out in 2 months, you're gone? Or, I mean, tell us a little bit about your identity, as far as you being one of maybe the most the best at being able to create future successful horse trainers.
I mean, there's other programs that develop too, and I appreciate you saying that very much. You know, I think, yeah, sometimes somebody will catch your eye, you know, but then too, you know, if they show the initiative to come, and you know, that tells you a lot. If someone will come up and say, hey, I'd like to go to work, you know, have that drive to take that step, you know. And I think I told you one time, I mean, I remember walking out of Denny Hale's arena down there, and here's this, you know, slender, young looking boy, skinny boy, and I can tell he's kind of watching me, you know. And so I said, well, you know, hey, how you doing, you know? And I start to walk on by, and he said, hey, can I talk to you a second? You know, well, it was Aaron Moses, you know, and he just said, I want to come work for you, you know. And I mean, he doesn't look like he looks today, you know. I mean, he's young, and well, you know, right now we didn't have anything, but boy, you could just sense that determination, you know. And then I think too, once they're here too, Brad, you know, you see what their desire level is by the time they put in what becomes a priority in their life, you know. And you get a good feel of that. Not all of, not everybody works out. Maybe it's a personality or whatever. We go our different ways. But Brian, Brian Baker, you'd have to say, Brian, you got to quit. The day is done. It's just that one's been road enough. So you got to do both. You got to look around and see, because none of these guys are going to stay forever, and they shouldn't. They're here to try and get to where they can go make a living in the industry on their own and serve their clients. So you've got to look around, but you've got, if someone comes up, you got to talk to them and see if you think they're worth giving a chance to.
Is it important? Do you try to make it feel like a family atmosphere, or do you really try to keep it like, I am your boss, and can you
Yeah.
and this is a dictatorship, and how would you best describe your relationship with your employees?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are on here tonight, so if you're lying, they'll probably tell.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't want them to tell everything they see around here, I guess. And Becky's mentioned this. You sort of become family. We're all living here on the same place, and we're down there every day, and you have to be able to get along, but yet they need to have a little bit of their life too. Obviously they're a different age group, and so we just won't, you don't want to become too close, but yet you want to dang sure know that you appreciate, we appreciate their efforts and their dedication, and we're all trying to help each other get better and serve our clients. So there's kind of a balance there, but you don't want to become too close, but yet you want to make sure that you have a mutual respect.
Okay, so I really want to get to this one part too about the gates and stuff like that. Can I go there real quick, Bradford?
Sure.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. So as a dumb trail guy, okay, I'm just curious, when you guys teach your judges, like the 3 gates, the walk, jog, and lope, what are the features that you guys talk to them at the judges seminars that they're looking for? Just generic for us. What's that look?
Yeah. Obviously we can all get into the mechanics of what 3-beat lope is and the 2-beat trot. We can all, and I think I kind of assume everybody knows that, but you gotta, horses that win need to be horses that it looks like it is a pleasant ride, that it's got self-carriage, and it's kicking that rider in the seat, and it's got some lift and swing and motion. It's not pulling, the back end of a horse is the engine. It's got to push from behind. It can't pull itself from the front. And you got to see, I'll go out of this deal. I can't stand horses that are trashy behind, and they look like they're adding a beat to the gait. I want to see a 3-beat lope. If they're in the left lead, when the right rear pushes off, that's 1 beat. When the left rear and right front land, which they land simultaneously, that's the 2 beat. And then the left front finishes, that's the 3 beat. That's where the 3-beat lope comes from, and that's no matter what speed horses are going, that's the gait they should perform, and they should give a rider a comfortable ride, and I don't like, Charlie Cole was on here the other night, and something really struck home with me, when he's talking about changing leads. He doesn't want to judge see hardly any movement out of the rider. Well, to me, that's what I find appealing in a pleasure horse. If I can look out there and, I can't see the rider doing anything but just sitting there, that to me is appealing. And that's what I think judges, that's what we talked about last fall, look for that horse that looks like we could grab someone out of the stands and put them on it, and it can carry them around there.
It's called a horse show for a reason, right? Because
right.
as a judge standing in the middle of the arena, it's the last thing you really want to see is somebody trying to impress you how good of a horse trainer they are. It's not a horse training show, it's a horse show. And so yes, there's definitely that exactly what you're talking about is you want to see somebody else be able to sit there and stay in a good feel and a good timing with their horse. And if it's a good pleasure horse and that rider can stay with them, that ride's going to be consistent.
I want to switch.
And that I go with that too, just a little bit. I don't want to see a horse that looks like it's hating its job. When it doesn't need to be pin-eared and frowny, and it needs to look like it's pleasant and happy. And again, that's, I just like to add that in.
So I'm popping a picture up here,
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
1983. But
you
I'm
sure
doing
that's
it.
me?
Let me zoom in.
Yeah, okay.
That looks like
all right,
that looks like Gil Galyean to me. But I popped that picture up there for a reason, because Tim found that picture somewhere. I don't know where he found it, but if you look at the expression on that horse and its top line, all that was 1983. And if we wonder why Gil Galyean is so successful from then all the way to now, I think the guy has helped mold our industry, right? So
Brad,
in positive ways, from the people that you bring in underneath of you and as they leave, and the businesses that they do. So that picture it says a lot, because I mean, you were a young horse trainer at that time. You were trying to beat whoever was big at that time, was your brother or whoever, right? And so anyways, I didn't mean to get too sidetracked there, but I definitely wanted to bring that picture up, and I'll pop it up one more time as Tim asks his next question, so people can just kind of see again what we're talking about. 1983, that's pretty similar to what we're looking for through that top line, headset, 2-beat gait, jog.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
that's a horse called Pine Barn there, and that was a good horse, you know, and that, like that saddle there, that's a saddle my dad gave me when I, you know, kind of went out there.
Look at that. Look at the size of that saddle.
Got the Dennis Moreland pad, you know, so, but that was a good horse, you know, and I think that's the 3-year-old Derby that year. And that horse was reserved that night. Yeah. I remember, and it was, we got done that year. I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. We finished that, you know, and I'd never placed at the Congress, you know, and I was second. I mean, I was so happy. And then I looked around the stands, and there were about 4 people left watching. You know, there wasn't a very big crowd at 3 in the morning.
Who won it that night? You were reserve. Who won it?
Some guy that well, it was my brother Jody. Yeah. Horse called Snazzy Story that Fritz Lehman owned. Yeah.
Wow.
And obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Fun night.
tonight's kind of fun here. Can you just kind of tell me like how you see your career and stuff like that? Like how it went, how you like, I mean, you're not done. You're definitely not done.
Yeah.
But like from like those roots back there till now, like have you got a lot of your goals, your buckets, and I don't know, like.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I want to keep, you know, I enjoy, you know, like I mentioned earlier, I enjoy the competition a lot. I enjoy owners that get something out of owning and showing horses. I mean, and we've been very, very lucky with owners and longevity of some of them. I mean, you know, some of them have been clients for 30 years, you know, and so as far, you know, continue to do this, obviously, you know, I like the Western riding a lot. I'd like to try and continue to get better in that. And we're going to keep doing it. You know, I like young horses a lot, because you just, you know, it's neat to see something that doesn't even know how to tie up, much less get a saddle on. And then, you know, if it happens to get lucky and make it and become a famous horse, I mean, that's very rewarding. So we're going to keep, you know, full steam ahead.
So
Awesome.
That's, you know, I hear passion, I hear drive. How do you balance that with your family?
Thank God for Becky, Tim. That'd be the key there. But no, I try much, you know, and Brad and I have talked to this, you know, like we don't go to as many horse shows as some trainers do, you know. So that works in our favor with the boys, and obviously they're getting older now, and you know, they're finding their way. But
Can you talk
I
about your
try
boys?
to do as much as I can. But I'm sorry.
Can you tell me about your boys a little bit, like what they're doing
Yeah,
now?
you know, Garrett, you know, it's kind of a little bit in limbo now with college and stuff. Garrett's been attending classes, and then Brody, our youngest, he's a freshman in high school, and of course school's not going on right now, but you know, they play sports, and they're down at the barn every day. Brody showed a lot. You know, he was lucky enough to win the Congress last year in the Pleasure, and so you know, they're active, but you know, they've got a great mother. There's no question about that.
I'm good, Bradford. How about?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just kind of, you know, we always talk about helping young trainers and the future and stuff like that. Kind of wondering what you're thinking about the future. You've had so many people work for you. I'm sure you see a lot of great future for the pleasure horse industry for the people that do it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really, It's in good hands. There's a lot of, in all disciplines, and and obviously the trail and western riding and the pleasure. I mean, there's a lot of super talented horse trainers, but from the kind of in the pleasure, just focus on it. There's a lot of really good young hands coming on. I think I told Brad this story one time. A few years back, I remember riding around with Cleve, and he said, there's no young. This is 6, 7, 8 years ago. There's just no young guys pushing us out. There's just no one around here pushing us out. Well, last year at the World Show, I said, Cleve, there's several of them pushing us out, man. We're gonna have to hook up here. But there's a lot of good young guys, And the main thing, the advice to them, it's real simple. You got to serve your clients. You got to call them back. Take the phone call and let them, communicate and take care of the horses every day. And thank goodness that we're in a business where people can enjoy showing horses. So, but it's in good hands. It sure is. I mean, I think. Looking at the Sun Circuit out there this year, I mean, there's some great horse trainers in this industry right now.
No lie. There's better horses and new horsemen coming up, which I'm happy to see. And like I said earlier, you have you put your touch on a lot of them that are out there that are good horse trainers. The young ones coming up, so I'm excited to see. I think we're about to see, in my opinion, and you tell me if you think I'm off, and I don't think you will, but that we're about to see the pleasure industry grow a little bit again, especially after this little break that we've had. I really, truly feel with guys like you that are out there continuing and trying to mentor these guys, and now it's up to that next generation of horsemen to do that for the next generation down as well. But I think we're going to see an uptick in our numbers in the pleasure, which I know everybody wants to see. I mean, I think that's one of the largest spectator events at the Congress or the World Show. When there's a pleasure class going on, you look in the seats, it's packed. So now we just got to transfer that into our exhibitors.
Yeah, that's right. And, and we're lucky that it is that fact. But I think, not unlike what I said earlier, I think people are drawn to movement of a horse. And as big as, what's really been great for the pleasure horse industry is the fact that, the all-around trainers need for a supply chain, so, there's got to be guys start and go to getting those horses where, the highly successful all-around trainers can go on to develop and put their stuff on them. So, if somebody will work, there's always a way to make a living in this industry. And
amen to that.
Pleasure horses are going to be fine. You bet.
Amen to that.
It's funny. I mean, this is our 12th show, right?
Yeah.
And you have a person like Gil and Charlie, everyone that's come to our show, and it's a week old. I mean, it's such an honor to hear you talk. I mean,
yeah.
It's been
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I really do, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity very much.
It's loose. It's
you bet.
fun.
Yeah.
It's a talk that's so historical, so it's
you guys are doing a great job too. It's very well done. And that obviously drew me to it.
Well, thank you. And for everybody, we thank you for joining us tonight. Remember, next week we have part 2 of Charlie Cole's interview. And then we have a special guest. I say special because he used to be my boss. Robert Chown is coming on our show next Wednesday. And again, great horseman. He's going to give us some things. You're going to hear some things that you probably never heard from this show, or maybe from any of the horse shows that you've gone to. But I promise you, it's going to relate, because a horseman can relate to any event that any of us do when we get on the back of a horse. So make sure you join in. We'll be keeping everybody up to date on our Facebook page. So please keep checking up there, and we'll keep you abreast of who's coming up.
Gil,
anything else, Timmy?
No, I just want to thank Gil again, because I'm in awe right now. So it's been a true pleasure. And Gil, we've gotten to talk a lot, but never really got to hear your backstory very much. And so it's just been awesome being able to interview you and just getting which I didn't expect anything different, just your honest answers. So thank you so much for your Friday evening. Becky, thank you as well. Like it. Make sure everyone likes us.
Yep. Make sure everybody likes us on Facebook. Again, everything here on YouTube goes to YouTube. If you missed earlier in the show or other shows, please go to our YouTube channel, the Keeping It Real Show YouTube channel. Subscribe to us there and you can see those. And then keepingitreal.com. If you'd like to be a guest, you have an idea for a guest, go to keepingitrealshow.com and give us some ideas. And then, of course, sponsorship. This can't be done without sponsors because as we test, we have a producer that has to help us when we have a snag with this Facebook and keeping everything live. So please, we certainly encourage you to
thank you very, very
be a
much.
part.
Be
Thank you,
safe.
Gail. You have a
bet,
good
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Appreciate it.
everybody.
Thank you so much. You guys the same.
Stay good.
All right, man. Let's kick it off. We'll thank our sponsors one more time. Thank you, everybody, for coming back in.
Wash
And
your
we will
hands.
see you. Wash your hands, as Tim says. We will see you on Monday.
Charlie Cole.
This has been a Kona Cam production, brought to you by Kimes Ranch Jeans, Blue Ribbon Custom Tack, Letchworth Bits and Spurs, JewetEquine.tv, Chauffeur Dough, Silver Dollar Circuit, Horseman's Future, Unishippers. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.
Good night, Timmy.
Happy Easter. Good night.